When you finish creating all of your paper pulp by shredding all of the egg carton, it's time to put it in a bowl. Then we're going to start soaking our paper pulp. So we're going to boil some water and then pour in just enough of the very hot water, and you can have an adult help with this if you need to, into your bowl until all of the paper is covered. So just go ahead and pour it on there. And you're going to just pour it on until it's just covered and no more. If there's any that isn't quite covered because of how it was sitting in the bowl, you can use a spoon. Don't use your hand because this water is very hot, and just sort of press it all down into the water. Okay? And then you need to let it sit for a couple of hours, and all that water will get absorbed into the paper pulp. If you're planning on keeping your pulp after it's soaked for a while before you make your art, it's best to plan to put it in the refrigerator after working some salt into your pot. So you want to sprinkle some salt to help kill any mold so it doesn't grow. Use the measurements provided in the lesson. Then knead and mix the paper pulp together to create a solid mass. If you see, like mine, it has a little too much water, you will want to dump the water off after pressing as much of it into a solid mass as you can. When you're ready to make your creation, take your still wet paper pulp that you've kneaded and pounded for a while, really getting it nice and soft and well worked, and add in some glue. This can be just regular school glue, and you don't need all that much. Just squeeze a dollop, and that's probably about good. Okay? Then go ahead and knead the glue into your paper pulp. This will create the binder so that your shape will stay where you want it as it dries. Spend some time and really get it in there good. You shouldn't see any white streaks when you're done. It should all be uniform or the same color. Then you can use this just like you would use clay to make shapes and forms, creatures and creations. Let's see what I can come up with. I'm going to see if I can't make a cat. I would recommend that you put down a piece of wax paper, aluminum foil, or work on a plastic surface before you start. That way you have easy cleanup. As you're getting the clay out of the bowl, I recommend that you sort of squeeze any extra water out of the clay. Give that just a really good squeeze. And this will make your paper clay better to use. If you find that as you're working though, as you're making shapes, it's drying and cracking, you want to make sure that you add a little of that water back in. So don't squeeze so hard that there's no water at all, but give it a good squeeze so you can make the shape you want. When you're making a sculpture, it's good to start from the bottom and work your way up to the top. So right now I'm going to work on making a little body for a kitty cat. I think that's what I would like to make today. And so I'm going to take a little bit of this and add it on at a time. I'm going to kind of pull and pinch with my hands to sort of make the shapes that I want. You can make yours into anything that you like. You can see here I've got my legs started. and might make a little tail. So even though this is paper, I can still roll it in my hands, but I have to be a little gentle. If I do too much, it'll come off or come apart. This doesn't work so well for small parts. But you can use it for it. If you really want something to stick on though, it's better to take a little bit at a time and let it be still pretty wet. If you try to have it be too dry, it will just come right off. So as you work, let it grow slowly. And then the key here is that you have to be patient. After you figure out your shapes and you're letting it, then you have to let it dry. You can't just go and move it right away. You can't just go and start it right away. You got to let it dry. Keep playing with this and see if I can't make a nice little shape. And then we'll let it dry. We'll come back.